Alright, hello. Today we're going to be solving two-step equations. So you should have this handout in front of you. All the examples I'm going to do are on the handout. So you'll notice it says equations involving two steps to solve. That's what two-step equations are. So we're going to solve, and this example has integers only. So you should be filling in example 1, okay, where it says solve and it has A, B, C, which I have on the board. So first step is always we're going to add or subtract, and then step 2 we're going to multiply or divide. So in this situation, the goal is always to get the variable by itself. So if I see a plus 5, that tells me I need to subtract 5 from both sides. I create a 0 pair, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out. Now I have negative 3x equals different sign subtract, so 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 is the larger integer with the greater absolute value, so the sign will stay negative. At this point, I see multiplication, so I need to do the inverse of multiplication, which is divide. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by negative 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. These create a giant 1, so now I have x left over, and I have a negative divided by a negative. Like signs equals a positive. So x equals 1. Okay, 1 step, 2 steps, and we're done. Let's look at example B. So once again, I want the one that has the variable to stay all by itself. So if I see plus 12, then I'm going to minus 12. What I do to one side, I do to the other. This creates a 0 pair, so it cancels out. Now I have 2x equals different sign subtract. So I have a negative 12 and a positive 4. 12 minus 4 is going to give me 8. And then I keep the sign of the greater absolute value integer, which is negative 12. So the answer will be a negative. Now I see multiply, so I need to do the inverse of multiply, which is divide. So I'm going to divide by the coefficient of x, which is 2, and what I do to one side, I do to the other. That factors into a giant 1. I'm left with x equals a negative divided by a positive. Unlike signs equals a negative. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So step 1, I add or subtract. Step 2, I multiply or divide, and then I have my final answer. And now the final example, letter C. On C, this is the exception to where either I add or subtract first. If I see where it looks like distributive, then I need to divide because this means multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 3 on both sides. That creates a giant 1, and then it leaves me with x minus 4 equals 9 divided by 3. Same signs or like signs equals a positive. And now I can solve it. It goes back to the 1 steps that we were doing last week. So if I see minus 4, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I created a 0 pair, so x equals 3 plus 4, 7. Same sign sum. And then that's my answer. Okay, so that is how you solve two-step equations.